Well, hello everybody. Welcome to the Appsmashing webinar tonight. All right, so this is going to be 20 minutes long, and I'm going to make this as interactive as I can. So that means that if you're in the audience, I'm going to be sharing a classroom code so you can join the class and actually then kind of test some of these things out of what it's like as a student. That you won't need to do that very soon because we're going to be releasing a pretty big update about classes later this week. So let's go ahead and get started. I'm going to share my screen because that's where most of this is going to be happening today. So I should note that I'll be checking on here. So if you've got questions as we're going along, go ahead and ask them in there. And hey, welcome everybody. I see we got some returning people from last week too, so that is awesome. Okay, so here is our agenda for tonight. So for Appsmashing for student engagement. So I'm going to be talking about 8 different tools tonight. So we've been going over Flipgrid, Loom, EdPuzzle, Desmos, Quizlet, Sketchfab, Google Slides, and Google Forms, all within 20 minutes. So let's see how this works. So to get started, I am going to then just go ahead and create a class that everybody can join. So I'm over in my classes. I'm going to head over to my classes section right now. And I think for this, though, what I am going to do is let's go ahead and just have everybody join up with my demo. No, we got lots of lessons in there. I'm just going to create a new class here, right? So we're going to call this one Appsmashing. We'll create it. All right. So what you're going to want to do is copy that code, G5RT. Now, the way you do that is pretty soon we're going to change this, but what you'll need to do is switch to being a student. So you click on your profile icon and then click on student. And then you click on the plus, and then you can enter in that class code. So I'm going to head back over so you can see that code again. So it's G5RT. I'm going to go ahead and type that in here. All right. So there is our code. Okay. All right. So now the centerpiece for this whole thing is going to be this article that I found on Tween Tribune about whale sharks. That was just kind of a cool one. Whale sharks are always fun. So I'm going to go ahead and start from the scratch here, right? So I've got my article and I'm going to load in insert learning, right? Because insert learning, unlike a lot of the other tools out there, it lives on the internet. So all the great stuff's out there on the internet. So I've loaded in the toolbar, and what we're going to be talking about is different tools to embed into the article itself. So we've talked about questions and discussions before, but now this is going to be when we want to bring in other media. So we're going to start off by talking about Flipgrid. Now, the way this works is I'm going to add in a question up, or I'm going to add in a sticky note. And the sticky notes is where you can now add in anything with an embed code. So if you're not familiar with Flipgrid, I don't know, somehow you live under a rock and you heard about insert learning, but you didn't hear about Flipgrid. I don't know how, but let's say if you haven't heard about Flipgrid, what it is it's a video discussion board. And what I really like about Flipgrid for insert learning is we've got these things that are called text-dependent questions. So under quick lesson templates, we got these text-dependent questions, but these can be text-dependent discussions too. Well, actually, no, these would be kind of boring ones, right? But you could then summarize or what do you think is the most important thing from that above section? And so what you can do is by mixing it directly in here, and you can embed multiple ones within the article, we can throw in these video discussions. All right, so I've got my grid set up right here. And what I'm going to do is I'm just going to open up one of these, and we'll go with one of my existing topics. All right, so why I love insert learning. So I'm going to click on share. And now here, so it's for your topics. You can do this for the whole grid too. But what we want to do is we want this embed code one. Now, here's a very important thing here, though, is that embed the topic card or a fully functional topic. And for a fully functional topic, it has to be secure. So HTTPS, which is for Tween Tribune. You can see that up there of HTTPS. So I'm going to head back over here, and I'm going to copy that iframe code. And now when we head back over here, I'm going to paste in that code. And we'll give it a few seconds here. And then what's going to happen is that then it's going to the fully working conversation or Flipgrid topic is going to show up on here. And so now teachers, what they can do is they can click on, or students can click on that. They can literally now record their responses to your discussion question directly within the article. And so what you could do is heading back over to our Flipgrid topic, you could create, like, so for your grid, you could create multiple topics that are going to be maybe breaking it apart. So let's say, so as we're going along here, it's a long one. So as we're going along, maybe we're going to, add in multiple breakpoints where now we want to have a class discussion. And instead of it just simply being the text discussions, we want to have that video discussion. And this would be great for like novels too, and short stories that you're finding online that you're using, where students then they get to kind of just speak directly into it. So that's really fun. You can also have a view only one where you click on share. With this one where they just view it and they can't record directly on there. All right, so that is our first one. That is Flipgrid. All right, now this next one that I'm going to be showing you guys is new to me from just about a month ago, but this one's called Loom. So Loom is a screen recording tool. So if you've used Screencastify before, it works just like that. So it's useloom.com, and I'll post a link to all of the stuff after to this video and online, well, also. But it's a browser extension, and I'm going to show you how this is one way that I'm going to use it. I'm going to delete this one because there's some things that are really cool about Loom. So I'm going to click on Loom, and it's a screen recording tool. So we're going to set this up. This is the first time I've done it on here, right? Okay, all right, and there we go. So now, oh, what happened? Let's do it again. But what it's going to do is you can then record your face down here, or you can have it just be the screen. But I'm going to go with both. And there's two ways you can use this. So I'm sharing my screen again. Can I share my screen with two things? I hope I can. So I'm sharing my screen, and as I'm going along, now what I could do is I create my whole lesson, and I'm going through, and then I start explaining, all right, class, so we're going to be talking about whale sharks today. And then I can kind of like preview, well, here are the different questions we're going to be reading. And I want you guys to think about this. And then you're done, you just click the little check mark. What's great about Loom is if you use Chromebooks, it is super speedy. There's no like uploading the video after you're done. It's just, it's done. Well, it's processing the video, but that's pretty darn quick. All right, so while it's doing that though, what I'm going to do is I'm going to click on share and then embed code, copy that, and heading back over to our article. Up here at the beginning, I'm just going to add in our sticky note now. I'm going to paste in that Loom video. All right, so it's processing it right now. We'll come back to that. But what's one of the things that's really neat about Loom also is that for the videos, as you're watching it, you can add in little emoji responses and then comments too that will timestamp it. Now, the other thing that you can do with Loom, and I actually came up with this when I was talking with another science teacher about using insert learning, is down at the very end of the lesson, what you can do is have students have Loom installed and now say, using Loom, summarize your annotations, paste link in the discussion, right? So what that means is students read through the whole thing, they've annotated the article, they've answered all these questions, and now they use Loom. They make a quick, like 1 minute summary, they go back and they re-go through their article now of like, okay, like here's the things that I highlighted, and here's what I thought was really interesting, and some of my thoughts I was reading through, and then you can post a discussion. And now if you want to, you could have students then post a link to their Loom video right there, so that then everyone else can see each other's videos. So this is kind of like the recap of reading that article. So it was a really cool way for students then to be able to kind of show off what they were doing. So instead of just seeing the annotations, now you've got the students actually talking their way through how they read that. It's taking a while to process, but we'll get back to that. All right. So I'm going to check back here real quick. With the insert. Oh, so Amy, what you do is you can join the class. Oh, and I need to assign it to that class. But you can join this lesson with it by switching to a student in the dashboard. I'm going to assign this one to our class. So Appsmashing. All right. Oh, and so Loom finished here. So I'm going to show you this cool thing. So as it's going through, what you can do is you can actually then be like, hey, good job. So students can do that. So as they're watching the video that you gave or that you created, they can then add in their own little emoji reactions, kind of like what Facebook video does now. And then the same thing of, students then can watch other students' videos and then give responses. Because now it's, Flipgrid is really great for like just the responsive view. But then if you want to use Loom, now students can actually show their annotations and what they were thinking as they're going through it. All right, we're going to move on now to EdPuzzle. So EdPuzzle is going to be our last video one. But EdPuzzle, it's really neat. It is insert learning for videos, or as EdPuzzle calls it, insert learning's EdPuzzle for websites. But what it lets you do is break up videos with questions, and you can shrink them down, stuff like that. So this is one that I found that someone else already did. What happens is that as students are watching it, it'll pause the video and have the question right there. But of course, with the share link, they've got this little option of the iframe embed code. So now as they're going along, instead of just simply embedding a YouTube video, you can embed an EdPuzzle video. Now, this is really great because, right, let's say you found this amazing 10-minute long video, and we'll be honest, right, students will not watch that whole 10-minute video. So now with EdPuzzle, this video has now been broken up with lots of little tiny questions within there. And they kind of like answer those. What I personally do when I use EdPuzzle, because even though those responses get saved, I often will just simply follow them up from the video, right? And then I'll ask them a question here, right? So I kind of use these questions more as guiding questions as they watch the video, and then I follow that up with an insert learning question to actually, if there's something specific I wanted them to get from that video, I'll ask it there, and then I'm only assessing from one spot. So EdPuzzle is an absolutely amazing one. You can upload your own videos or use them off YouTube, and there's a whole library of great ones that other teachers have made. Okay, our next one here is Desmos. Now, this is kind of an odd one now. I was trying to think of something that I could use that went with whale sharks, and I didn't find a whole lot. But what Desmos is, it's an online interactive graphing calculator, and you can do some amazing things. But one of the things I do like is that when you put in the equation, you can then click and then drag as you move along. It's an amazing thing. If you do anything whatsoever with numbers and graphs, you should absolutely check out Desmos, even if you are not a math teacher, because it's just a very powerful thing. It lets students play with numbers and with math and with graphs. And that's what we want students to do. They should get in there, they should experiment with it. So we got this cool graph. Now what we're going to do is we can click on share. And once this finishes loading, it's going to be the same thing if you want this embed code. So I click on embed. I'm going to copy that. And heading back over here, going to add in our sticky note, paste in that embed code. And Desmos did a really neat update, I think it was this school year, of where now the embed codes are fully interactive, and so they can do that. You can also have students click on this, and now it'll open it up in Desmos, and they could edit that and then go back and make changes. So maybe you've got this, you give some instructions of like, okay, like modify this graph so it does blah, blah, blah. They see this graph here. They click on it, they edit in Desmos, and then they could paste a link back here in a discussion or in a question. So now they're kind of turning in their work that way. So that's kind of a fun one too. Right, Tamara? Like I don't know how long you've been using Loom for, Tamara, but I discovered it about a month ago, and I've been having my students work on it, and it was awesome. Yeah. Wait, no, Tamara, we were talking about it, weren't we? I'm so confused right now tonight. All right. Quizlet is our next one. We're running short on time. All right, so Quizlet is another amazing one that's used by a lot of teachers out there. It is basically, it's a really fun, simple quiz or flashcard creation tool. And they've added a lot of different things like games and stuff like that as they've gone along. So this one, I found someone else had already made it. A lot of teachers, including our other teacher co-founder, Karen, uses it for front-loading vocab words. But what I'm going to do is, so I found this one that someone else has already done. And click on share. And what I want is, no, I don't want that one. Sorry, I was clicking on share, and that's not the one. You want to click on the little ellipses right there, and then embed. And let's see here. So then here you can kind of switch it around. So I'm going to do learn for this one. And then I'm just going to copy that embed code. Can I do that? Oh, that works too. All right, and then heading back over here. So let's say if we're going to front load the vocab words, and go back there. I'm going to paste our Quizlet. And then I could add in instructions of practice. For reading, right? So now they're going to be practicing these vocab words before they start reading the article. So they kind of go through, and it's like a fully interactive thing. It's pretty sweet. Students can even switch the modes around. They've done it, it's just a great tool, right? So that's Quizlet. All right, what do we got next here? We've got Sketchfab, right? So Sketchfab is kind of a fun one that I threw in here. I think I saw, yep, here we go. So I do want to say, so Sketchfab, it's a repository of 3D models. And so I found a really neat one of a whale shark, right? Because a picture of a whale shark is cool. A video of a whale shark is cool, but a 3D model where you can actually like move it around, stuff like that, that's pretty awesome. And they even have little VR options too. I will say, though, that on their website, even though my students have done some cool stuff of uploading their own 3D models, you can do some neat things, they do have some like semi not appropriate or some that aren't appropriate for school models. So before you tell your students to actually go to Sketchfab, be aware of that. When you embed them, though, those other things don't show up. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to click on embed. And then here what we want is we're going to be doing this iframe 1. Oh, I don't know what happened there. Well, I think this is going to work. So we copy that. All right. And now we'll head back over here. And we're going to add in a sticky note and paste in that embed code. So that didn't work. All right. So sometimes what can happen is that it'll copy the formatting. So what you can do is I'm going to open a new tab, paste it into the address bar, and copy that. And that gets rid of the formatting. I'm going to paste that again. All right. So for some reason, Sketchfab's embed code's not working. But what it would have done was essentially had just this model of the shark and none of this other stuff on the sides. That's on there so that then students can then rotate that around and check it out. It's a really neat tool. There are some actually like high quality historical artifacts that have been made 3D scans of that are available. There's some that even have animations that are on Sketchfab. So definitely check it out if it's something where you want students to kind of like, visuals are going to really help them understand something better, or many of the different historical artifacts that they have on Sketchfab. So check that one out definitely. All right, now we're moving on to our 2 Google products for the night. We've got Google Slides and Google Forms. Many of you use them. Okay, sure. Yep, I'll go over that, Lisa, how to find the answers on there. And what I'm going to show here is Google Form, right? So we've got a Google Form. Some teachers, they use insert learning. And so even though you can add in questions and view the responses, they really like to use Google Forms because you can do a little bit more with the responses, and you've got them in spreadsheets and different things like that. And they've got a quiz feature now too. So what I'm going to do is, let's say this is our form, and we're all done with this. We're going to require this one, right? Now what I'm going to do is I'm click on send, and then embed. So I'm going to copy this embed code. Here, we can do that too. And then let's say down here, towards the end, now we're going to have our Google form where I want students to put in their responses. Just going to paste that code, and then it's going to load in that Google form. It's fully interactive and functional from here because they're signing with Google. All these things are going to be working. They click on that and then turn it in, and then they're done, right? So it's Google Forms, right? So a lot of people love that because you have a lot more flexibility with Google Forms, and it's saving to the spreadsheets and doing some of those different things. So that is a really cool one. All right, and this last one that I'm going to show you then, is Google Slides then, right? So you've got all these great presentations that you put together, and then suddenly you're like, man, like I don't like doing these presentations as much, or maybe this is a really good way to put together information to convey it, but now I want to put it into the articles now that we can do this with insert learning. This is great. Well, you don't have to throw out those amazing presentations with all this good information on there. What we can do now is we can embed them. So what you do is you click on Publish to the Web. So you're in Google Slides, click on File, Publish to the Web, and then embed. Now, there is a weird thing, though, of that like you can't get it to not auto-advance on the slides for some reason. I don't know why, but so you can change that to 1 minute. Every minute is the most you can do. I'm going to click on Publish. And then we're just going to copy that code, and then heading back over to our lesson, I'll paste in that Google Slides, and there it is. So this is the presentation right here. So we're going to be able to go through that. You can click on play, go from one slide to the next one, and students will be able to kind of go through that. And of course, you can follow that up with questions or discussions. So it's just some of the really neat things that you can do. But let's say we are going to follow up with that question, because then I think Lisa, right? Yeah, Lisa had a question. How do you view the responses? So what you do is when you create a question, so I clicked on insert question, click right there. What you can then do is you can view the responses right here. So now I can see all my students' names and then their scores right there. I'm going to reload this because I don't think it's going to show up because I just created the lesson and assigned it right away. So I can see everybody's responses. We've got some in there. And so let's see here. So I'm going to go back up. Oh, and we got the discussion right there. Yeah, so Lisa, so the way it works is that for the discussions, those things will sync up in real time for all students. And then for the questions, those ones work differently where just the teacher can view the responses. So I click on that. All right, so Craig clicked on there already. It just kind of like saved what he ended up being, type anything, and then you can enter in a score. And responses will show up pretty much in real time. You can view the responses there, or you can also view them in the teacher dashboard. So if I click on the ellipses and click on go to dashboard, you can then go to the grades section of your lesson or of your dashboard, and then see everyone's responses show up right there too. So if I click on my class, this is our Appsmashing class, and there we go, right? And so I've got 2 questions in here. And then you can just simply hit tab and go through and then score them. You can also do multiple choice questions as well. By just simply, once you've got the question created as a teacher, if you type in there, first option, right, like that, and then you select the correct one, and then it's going to kind of like, and then students click on it and they keep going until they get the right one. All right, so that is all we've got for tonight. Man, so we just ran through 9 different apps that you can use Insert Learning with. Are there any questions that we have here? Couldn't you publish Google Slideshow and add Insert? You can't, not really. So you could try and use Insert Learning on the published one, but Google Slides has this really weird way of doing the formatting. So basically the slides can't move around, and Insert Learning has to be able to modify how they move. So it just doesn't work that way. Google Docs is done differently, of where it's kind of like text that can still flow. So that's why Insert Learning works great with that. I've seen some way people have gotten Google Slides, set up so that teachers can use Insert Learning on it, but it's kind of a lot of work. So you publish Google Doc and use it as, yes, yeah. So Lisa, so yeah, you could use any Google Doc, and then you just click on Insert Learning, and then it's going to prompt you to publish it, and then kind of walk through the whole thing. So Naskia, see, yeah, no problem. Thank you. Thanks for joining us. Some of these things too, it just, the more you got to work with it, right? Because I think it must have been Tamara that I was talking with. We were using Loom. Oh, that's a good idea of using it on sites too. But some of the things are like, as you start using it more and more, you kind of like, oh, I can use it this way, like with using Loom for the instructions, and then also using Loom then for the students to also kind of go back and do a real quick, summary explaining what they highlighted and what they got out of the article. Yeah, absolutely, HyperDoc heaven. I would agree. Yeah, right, because when we started using Insert Learning, before we created Insert Learning, Karen and I went crazy with basically creating not quite HyperDocs, but pretty fancy Google Docs, to try and get our students to be able to like read and make things interactive. All right, well, that's all we got for tonight, everybody. Thank you very much. And I think I got my screen back up here. Yeah, so thank you very much, everyone, for joining us tonight. Check out our other webinars that we have, and don't forget that this month is Women's History Month, and that's going to be ending at the end of March. And we got Malcolm's joining again, and I think that means that it's time for us to go play a game. So have a good evening, everybody, and thanks for joining us. We're going to go play Minecraft. Good spring break.